Run down to who I am, run down to what I do. 5 W's and a H. Okay, I go by the name Black Poet, and what is my steez? I call it like education and entertainment. I try to combine them both. I do it through a myriad of ways, whether it's skits, whether it's comedy, whether it's events where we create a space for the underground to meet up and network. Everything for me is how do you entertain while dropping game on the conscious tip? I've been into music since I was 5. So my grandfather tried to get signed to Motown and kind of did not work out for him very well. But I think that certain shit is hereditary. So I always had a musical space. I couldn't sing. You remember Guitar Hero 3? Yeah. Playing Legends of Rock, I was already into a doo-wop R&B space. And playing Legends of Rock, I got into everything else, and it taught me how to write choruses, verses, etc. And from there, I'm like 11, and now I'm getting colder and colder. 13, because our era of rap, I'm not dissing anybody, but our era of rap was more like the snap era, and it wasn't super lyrical. I didn't like it. By the time I got 13, 14, I started going back to the older stuff, like Doggy Style, Illmatic, Tribe Called Quest, and that got me into hip-hop. So originally, ironically, I wanted to be a metal star. I really did. I wanted to come Metallica or Nirvana or something, but didn't have the voice. And I can play chords on guitar, but I'm not a guitarist. So thank God I found hip hop, because I probably wouldn't have stayed into music. And the conscious aspect of it, just growing up in Detroit, it's an impoverished area, so you get to see the worst and the best, because people in impoverished conditions are going to break from it, and then some of them are going to create from it. And thank the Most High, I was able to create from it instead of snapping, So wanted to give that spirit to other people who are looking for kindred spirits, but maybe don't know where to go to find them. So the worst is not, people want to make it, it's the murder bin and everybody killing each other. And there's an aspect of that, of course, but in Detroit, if you mind the business that pays, you don't see as much of that. So the worst to me is not as simple as getting shot. The worst to me is people that give up on themselves. The crackhead at the gas station. That's the best example. Just somebody that's old on obvious crack, like some sort of drug addiction, and they never healed from it. Like, they're fine cutting grass for life. They're fine begging. They're fine just with the bare minimum. As long as they got enough for their habit and enough to eat and a roof to stay up under, they're good. That to me is the worst. People to lose faith, to lose hope. And then the best is somebody like you, or like me, or I never met her, but from a distance, Mary Sheffield, who says, I come from this area, but I'm going to do something about the worst. I'm going to follow my ambition. I'm going to materialize the idea I had in my mind's eye. That's the best. And it's a million of that. I'm not going to claim Michael Jackson. He's from Gary, Indiana. But the Diana Rosses, the Aaliyahs, the Marvin Gayes, the whoever, it doesn't matter what the name is. It just, pressure makes diamonds. That pressure can crack you or can create a metamorphosis where you're your highest self. So, absolutely. I can't give no one-word answer to that. Ask that one more time.
How do you feel that Detroit...
The person or as an artist?
As an artist.
Excuse me. I wouldn't be who I am without this city. I think that Detroit has the realest people. And I travel for a living. CDLA, I travel for a living. Detroit, Long Beach, and maybe Philadelphia has some of the realest people I've ever met. In the sense that if you're fake or corny or putting on your representative like a mask in any way, they're going to chop you down. They're going to call you out on it every single time. Even as a performer, you get on stage and you try to rap about or speak about a lifestyle you didn't live, you're going to bomb because nobody is feeling you. And they can see through the facade.
They can spot anything that's inauthentic.
Yeah. And it forced me from a young age. I'm performing at 19. I'm not even old enough to be in these clubs. But I'm there. for ways that we won't speak on. But I got in and I performed. And before I had my niche, before I decided to be a conscious MC, they would go, yeah, he's lyrical, but this isn't him. And it forced me to look within myself to really find my own sound. So I think if I was an artist anywhere else where it's more industry-based, more mainstream-based, you hear a lot of the industry artists say, oh, when I got signed, I lost my authenticity because the label told me to conform to a sound to push a single. Whereas here was the exact opposite. I got to express and experiment to hone in my own sound. And now I don't sound like anybody. I'm proud of that because anywhere else, I probably would be another person forced to fit into something. Yeah. So my whole thing is cooperative economics, which is, I normally lead it with black people, but as I've gotten older, I'm starting to see that there are righteous people in all tribes. So I don't want to just say, oh, Ujamaa cooperative economics for our people, but cooperative economics meaning we should figure out how to buy and sell with each other so we do not have to rely on fiat currency through corporations. If we can buy and trade with each other, we won't be, pigeonholed to the 9-to-5 grind. You know what I mean? You don't have to be an entrepreneur, even if it was a trade, somebody that was a farmer, somebody that was a barber, somebody that's a musician. If we're all spreading our dollar with each other and circulating that dollar, we will not be forced to wake up doing something we don't love. So I guess my biggest impact is to remind people of unity, not to be so standoffish. Empathy. What happened to empathy? Just realizing your brother is your brother and your sister is your sister. And you don't need to gain something from somebody for you to help them, especially if you're abundant. And if you got it, there's nothing wrong with pouring a little over. Your cup poureth over. If you got abundance, share. If you don't have abundance, I don't judge you. But sometimes it's not an opportunity that you give, it's a word. You walk by somebody and you give them an encouraging compliment. Let's say a future fashion designer, right? They get teased for the way that they dress, but you see them, you go, wow, that's different, bro. I would have never thought to put lime green shoes on. You give them that compliment, maybe it instills a certain confidence in them to follow that dream that they had when they were young. So
100%, man. I couldn't agree with you more. Change and impact, and still spreading through, 70, 80 years after, impact can,
100%.
Big or small. I agree with you on that. I agree with you.
And that's the highest height. When you say MLK or Malcolm X or Marcus Garvey, but even just at a base level, just, high vibrational energy. It transforms people. You see a 10, right? Like a girl is a 10. She'll know she's a 10 because she never was told she was a 10. She come from a small town. She was never told she was a 10. She's always comparing herself to models that have been color brushed and photoshopped. You go up to her and you say, oh my God, you're so beautiful. Nothing super crazy freaky, but a sincere compliment. Her entire vibration can go from quiet, small, fragile girl in the soul to I'm that bitch. Is that small shit. It's not always, some people will grow up to be the future Malcolms of our society, but even that at a minuscule level is so powerful, that domino effect, butterfly effect.
100%, man. I feel like there's no scale on this.
100%.
All matters the same.
Big facts.
I want to talk a little bit about No PC Radio.
Yeah.
Cat Williams. Shay.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So somewhere around before coronavirus, I noticed, I don't know, I'll try to ironically keep it censored without censoring. So before corona, I noticed that what we call today SJWs, aka social justice warriors, what we call quote unquote liberals, but I like to not use that term. We could call it liberals, we can call it leftist, we could call it right wing, we could call it conservative. Point being, I think the corporations at a certain point started muzzling freedom of speech. They started to say, you will not be able to monetize on our platforms, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, unless you think a certain way. And the thought police, like the dystopian novels, 1984, or any type of George Orwellian dystopia, it could be Equilibrium with Christian Bale, I just watched V for Vendetta the other day. The first thing done in any type of pseudo controlling government where they have all the autocracy is eliminating freedom of speech. So if the artists, the poets, the novelists, whoever of the time can't chronicle what's happening as it's happening without being punished, then you can control the populace. And I felt that was not only dangerous, but went against everything that was constitutional. So when you get into Corona and they say, okay, we're going to advise you to take the jab, that's beautiful. If a person is choosing to do that with their own immune system, good. But if you bully people into taking it, you tell them they can't go to the movies without taking it, can't go to concerts without taking it, can't do anything that you were used to doing without taking it, that doesn't sound like choice. It sounds like the illusion of choice. And it got to a point where I say, okay, how many people think like me? How many people are looking for an outlet to speak things that aren't necessarily politically correct, but still hold some type of truth? I do not think that we as the creative or as the artist or just as a person in general should allow the powers that be to dictate how we create. We should be able to freely express and oppose the mainstream narrative. Even right now with the Israel-Palestine conflict, there are certain people who support either side. I'm not here to say what you should do. I'm saying that you should be able to support what you want without being banned off the internet. No PC Radio is exactly that. Of course, we will speak in fluent Ebonics, and we will use a lot of vulgarity on that platform. But it's only because there should be, I hate this idiom, a voice for the voiceless. There should be a platform for people who maybe can't articulate points like some sort of scholar, but they're still speaking from their heart. They're still standing for what they believe is right. And I'm just very anti the establishment controlling free thought.
That's very interesting. To be honest, true change cannot come, like how you say, you're not even speaking about whether this side or whatever side or right or wrong. It's more about like, how can anything change unless that conversation happens in the first place? The voiceless are the people who are getting banned for not even being able to voice their opinion, even if it's wrong.
Yeah.
Whenever any light, the fact that vocalization is being suppressed, that's very dangerous, because when to get to a point to, I'm saying, when do we have nothing to say about suppression? Damn, okay, so your show would be like, you'd be pretty much talking to both sides at the same time, or how would you construct it?
Exactly. Whoever wants to come on to the platform to express their truth. Now, they have to be standing in their square. They can't just make up a whole bunch of hullabaloo. But if they're able to back up their point. I saw something on YouTube a couple of years ago where a Klan member met up with essentially a black nationalist to discuss race. And a lot of black people called him a coon and a sellout for even standing across from the individual. But I thought the most interesting aspect of it was, in that conversation, there was no violence. There was a lot of racial superiority being preached by the Klan member. But the point of having two opposing sides speak to each other candidly is that you not only understand the origin for something like why I don't like this side, why I don't like the other, but you can heal after. But if they don't ever sit in that room, where is the opportunity for the healing?
Damn, that's pretty deep.
You know what I mean?
100%. Bro, yeah, that's pretty crazy, man. You be willing to sit down with a Klan member?
Would I sit down with a Klan member if I had absolute certainty that the individual had no weapons and I have my people with me? Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I'm very good at expressing myself, and I'm very good at listening to someone's point or discerning them. So I wouldn't feel away, and I don't feel inferior to any other ethnic group. So any of that racial superiority conversation about the Aryans, I'm not going to feel no way. Go ahead and speak. Like a lot of people get emotional about it. Somebody calls me nigger with the hard R, I'm not going to feel away because I know I'm not 3/5 of a human being. So if you can't define me, all your power is gone.
True. No, 100%. I've been knowing you for a long time, and you definitely articulate your points. It takes the right person to have these type of conversations constructively. No matter, like you said, no matter what you believe, I'll hear you out. If it has no weight, that's when you shown through in the conversation.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? That's when you really find out that, no, wait, we ain't talking about even yelling and screaming. We talking about actually having a real conversation.
Yeah.
Nah, I like that a lot.
And just real quick on the analogy tip. By the way, the collective is that whole point, the concept of double K. It's a lot of things the K stands for, like OPP can stand for different things, but predominantly the collective is about bringing people together that are like-minded. They want that open-ended conversation for growth. We want to raise up the vibrational consciousness of our people so that we're all good on the strip. I would love to see merchants up and down here. Let corporate eat. I like corporate. I like buying tissue. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, let the mom and pop shops breathe too. Yeah, they talk about Black Wall Street, but it don't have to be so specific. Just up and down these blocks, what they're building. I don't know if you've been to the west side of Detroit where Livonia is. They rebuilt that strip all the way down from 8 to 6 miles. That's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And most of that is us, meaning people that's Detroiters. So that's beautiful. That's what I want to see when we talk about the collective. But it doesn't always have to be economic. Just anything that is building a shift and change forward.
Yeah, 100%. I think one of the most beautiful parts about Detroit is how it is still retaining its culture. There's been a lot of Detroiters opening up Detroit businesses.
Facts.
And that should continue, especially with all these companies coming in, the Lions, all the, it's a lot of buy-ins, like keeping that culture strong. Like you said earlier in the interview, it's like that exchange of money amongst communities, you know what I'm saying? Keeping the dollar inside the community. That can be very transformative for a community.
Absolutely. Every other community, I forgot the stat, every other community is non-Black. They circulate their dollar like 3 or 4 times before it exits their community. I believe we circulate it once. So it basically means we get our money from where we get paid from, corporate, and then it goes outside of our community instead of building it up. So let's say I get paid, I'm a trucker, I get paid from my company, and you're selling pies. You go in a restaurant and it's all desserts. Before I come to you, I buy the pie from Kroger. If I bought it from you, you can feed your family. If I buy it from them, you're still wondering how you're going to make ends meet. Every other community understands to build with themselves first. Doesn't mean don't buy. It means prioritize where you're at so it looks different. So it doesn't look so a crackhead can't come up to me and ask me to wash my car at the gas station. Because we've empowered that individual to understand, hey, it's a soup kitchen right there. What did you want to do when you were young? Oh, I wanted to start a car wash. Hey, they have buildings. If you go on the list of the city, they have buildings that you could buy, boom, boom. If you set yourself up, you can get that. Boom, 5 years later, now he's a car wash owner. Instead of, hey, give me $10 and I'll rub down your windshield. The trickle-down effect.
Exactly, 100%.
And just real quick, when I said I can sit across from a Klan member because I know certain people in our community, how dare you? Was it? If an 8-year-old came up to you and said, you big doo-doo head, what would you do? I'm asking you, not rhetorical. But you laughed. Your first thought was to go, get out of here. You laughed.
Yeah.
When a grown man comes up to you and says, I'm not talking at you, but uses the hard R, most people, you said, oh shit, you didn't laugh anymore. You thought, oh shit. And that's how most of us are. But it's the same frequency. It's the same level of emotional intelligence. Because a person that would come up to you and debase you, who doesn't know you from Adam, you've never done anything to him or her, who just straight up doesn't like you because of your skin tone or your religion or this, that, and the third, has the emotional intelligence of an 8-year-old. So you don't take them serious. That's how I could do it. It's not that what he's doing isn't offensive. That's just the 8-year-old spewing madness.
I get the analogy now. You're like if an 8-year-old came up and said called you or a little 5-year-old said like a little insult, like we don't even take it seriously, but like we're conditioned to hear that word instantly. Like our first like mindset is to be like
on 10.
and it affects our emotions, like in a sense, or at least mentally. That's what conditioning does. Like, damn, I never thought of it thinking it.
The facts, man. It's programming. Even if a 5-year-old kicked you in the shin, you would be like, you badass kid. You wouldn't just get to beating their ass. Let a dude bump into you at the club. Somebody might get shot. You know what I mean? There's all types of what we call nigga moments if you ever watched the Boondocks, where two people who haven't healed their inner child project their ego on each other, and they don't know each other from Adam. Where is all this aggression coming from? I don't even know you, brother. Go ahead, keep walking. Instead, it's bump into me again one more time, nigga. Dog, relax. I'm going home to my family. I don't know what you want to do. And it's not about being pussy. We have to get the concept out of our head that walking away from bullshit makes us weak. Certain people got demons on them, and I'm not dying because some crazy human being hasn't purged their spirit. I'm going home to my family and relaxing and telling a funny anecdote with my friends. That's what the Boondock episode was about.
Yeah, exactly. I really like their satire of, like, you know, of course, because we all like knew the genius behind it, and the sense of that, especially within like our communities, and like healing that through conversations, like hard conversations, is really
uncomfortable convos are important.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially in romantic relationships.
To be honest, most people,
it would probably have to be reformed.
Yeah.
Like somebody that wasn't, that came out of it. Because somebody that was in it still, it would be hard to make the contact. I don't know how the person did it when they did it, but if the person was reformed, it'd be a lot easier because they no longer had that hatred on their spirit. I do it, they might think it's a setup. So it'd be hard to set up. But I agree, and that's the space I want to set up.